Yes, people, welcome to the 24th episode of the Backpacking Cycle. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to get into shape. And this is going to be a better quality episode than normal because I've got a new microphone, as you can see if you're watching the video. So the audio quality is going to sound better. So for those that are just listening on audio, you're in for a fucking treat. But obviously, those that are watching the video as well. Currently with the podcast, we're going to level up real soon as we've got guests coming on, and we've also got the ability to start editing a lot more short content, like short form content of like clips of the podcast, and we could just get more guests on and start doing bigger things. So it's going to be interesting. But getting in today's episode of how to get into shape, it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but due to being injured, I've not been practicing what I'd be preaching right now. But after recovering from my injury, I'm now back on the grind of getting physically fit again, and my physique has come back incredibly quick, seeming though I kind of lost it all for like a year. I didn't really train properly. It's like 8 months. So yeah, I managed to get my physique back really quick, and yeah, like getting in shape for me was a massive one. It's what allowed me to be to this point today where I'm like sat here confident on self-improvement, even like simple stuff like being able to articulate myself properly, being able to converse with people like in a structured way and have confidence in my ability to go out and achieve things. All of this has come from just going out and improving myself and getting in physical shape and getting into the gym and dedicating so much time and so much effort and sacrificing and being willing to do what other people aren't doing. And all of this has accumulated in me being where I am today. And I think for people who are starting out on their self-improvement journey, or people who are stuck in life, let's say for example you're in a place where you're not happy, you're not happy with the way you look, you're not happy with your job, you're not happy with your relationships, whatever it may be, all of this can be enhanced by getting healthy and getting into shape. So in today's episode, this is going to be something I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to kind of discuss how I went through the transition of being skinny fat to getting into shape and feeling confident. And then I'm also going to give you what I did wrong and my tips now from years and years of training of how I would do it and what is the optimal way that I think is of getting into shape. So first, I want you to realize that like you need to hold yourself accountable. And the reason you are here today, whether that's you're a little bit overweight, whether that's you're skinny fat, whether that's you're just mega skinny or you've got like issues with your body, the reason you're here today is because of the past choices you've made. You've not made the correct choices in the past, and that has accumulated in you having a little bit too much belly fat or not having a bicep muscle, whatever it may be, whatever it is you desire. You're here because of the past choices you made. So take accountability for this, realize that, right, that's fine, I'm here now, there's nothing I can do about it. But what I can do is start making better choices now, and I can learn from the past me. I can learn from the mistakes of the younger me, and I can start making better choices today. And with getting in shape and getting your body primed to look good and for you to feel good, it's something that's accessible to everyone. It's not impossible. Like, all you have to do is learn how your body works, adapt to your certain genetics, and train in ways that have been clinically and evidentially that doesn't make any sense, that have been proved by science and have been backed up by millions of people going into the gym and doing these things. These methods of training your body, they work. So all you got to do is work out how your body works, optimize it to your certain genetic levels, but then also train in ways that have been working for 10s, 20, 30s of years. Ever since people have been training in the gym, they've found out certain methods that get you in shape. So I'm going to teach you through some of these today. So it's going to be an interesting episode. Next, I want to talk about like what are the key mindsets before I get into all the technical bits of how to actually go to the gym, what you need to do, like rep ranges, exercises, diet, sleep, all this. I want to talk about just the mindset, because the mindset is the thing that's going to get you into the gym. And without going to the gym, you're not going to make progress and get in shape. So like what's going to make you progress is the story you're telling yourself about going to the gym, is the mindset you have. So discipline and consistency are key here, right? You're not always going to be motivated. Motivation is a fleeting feeling. It's something that comes and goes. And to rely on motivation, to expect yourself to be motivated all the time, is just not going to happen. So what you need to do is you need to create discipline, and you need to be consistent with that. So consistency and discipline are kind of the same things, because with discipline comes consistency, and with consistency comes results from the gym, or comes results from whatever pursuit that you're going for. So yeah, have the mindset of like, this is a long-term thing. I'm not going to see instant progress, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up every day. When I say every time I plan, I'm going to turn up and be consistent with it. I'm going to train when I say I'm going to train. I'm not going to back out. I'm not going to listen to my emotions and my feelings, and I'm going to turn up. And if you're consistent, you will beat out the people who aren't consistent. It's as simple as that. And the only way you're going to get into shape is by being consistent. So you need that mindset. It's a long-term thing. You're doing this for the rest of your life, and consistency needs to be a part of this. There is no point talking about the rest of it. There is no point you listening to about diet advice, about gym advice, sleep advice, whatever it may be, whatever you're looking for and you think is the most important thing. It's not important unless you are consistent and you are disciplined. So next is like, set yourself goals. So before you set foot in the gym, like, what is it that you actually want to achieve? Is it you want to lose some weight? Do you want to get like jacked and shredded? Do you want to look like you're on fucking steroids? What is like the goal of you coming into the gym, and what is it you're after? And if you can set goals, if you can give yourself this idealistic version of yourself that like, this is going to be me in 3 years time, 4 years time, this is the person I want to be, this is how I want to look, this is how I want to feel, then it's going to give you the fundamental of what discipline can build out of, because now you've got a destination to go towards, and like, how you get to the journey in between is going to fluctuate, and it's going to bring up its own set of problems, but you've got a direction to head towards. So you can go into the gym with clarity. It's like, right, I'm going to get in good shape for my heart. I'm going to go and do a load of cardio because I want to run a marathon, or I'm going into the gym to lift loads of weights because I want to look good when I take my top off. I want to look good for the other sex. What is it like? What is it actually that you want? And define these goals, because this is going to give you that motivation to pick yourself up and get to the gym when you don't want to. And it's going to give you the core of what discipline can work around. Like, you've got the goal, you've got the direction, now you could just go and do. So set yourself some goals, man. Like, it's so important. And I think it's really underrated when people like think about getting into shape or getting into the gym. They just turn up and go, all right, I'll just turn up and do like willy-nilly workouts. Whatever happens, as long as I turn up. But it's like, nah, like eventually that motivation that you're utilizing now is going to die off, and then you're not going to have a bigger purpose or a bigger reason to go to the gym. So set yourself some goals. Really important for every aspect in your life, but for getting in shape, like definitely like mega important. So what do you do then, right? So now you've got these goals, you've realized that like the consistency, discipline is important. You need to hold yourself accountable. Next, you need to get into the gym. And like, I'm not going to talk about cardio. I'm not going to talk about any other like forms of exercise. Purely mine is resistance training, so through calisthenics and going to the gym. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But right, so let's get to the gym. Right, you're going to have all these negative thoughts that come into your mind. Like, I don't know how to perform exercises. I don't know what to do. I don't have a clue how the gym works. What is the etiquette of it? Are people going to be looking at me thinking I'm weird? And what you need to realize is all these people who go into the gym all started off as beginners. Everyone starts off with that beginner's mindset. They go in, they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. So just turn up and go to the gym. No one's judging you. If anything, people are going to respect you more because you're going to the gym. You're doing the thing that it's going to improve yourself, and it's a cool environment when you go to a gym, because you have them people that are in there for egotistical reasons and you just need to ignore them, but the majority of people are in there to improve themselves and they want to better their own lives, and they're willing to help as well. So just go into the gym, right, and turn up and have this beginner's mindset, and don't be scared, and like, don't have that fear of judgment, because the more you go, like anything, the less that fear of judgment goes. So like, the first step is always the hardest. So like, you need to just get into the gym. That is the first bit. When you get into the gym, what we're going to do then? So what I am going to subscribe to you, and you can listen to plenty of different training philosophies. There's so many different ways of training, different splits you can do, different exercises, focusing on different rep ranges. But what I'm going to do is very simple, and it's backed in kind of science and also what people have been doing for over 100 years. So the way I would recommend working out is focusing on full body splits 2 to 3 times a week. And this goes against the grain of what's currently popular. So when you go onto YouTube, or you go onto like Instagram, or you go and buy like workout programs from all these fitness gurus, what you're going to see is, I don't know if the camera is too in the way, by the way. So if it's in the way and you find it distracting, let me know in the comments. But yeah, if you're going and looking at all these gurus or whatever, and you're looking at all these fitness influencers, they're going to subscribe you like a really heavy like push pull leg split or upper lower split, or they're going to get you to go into the gym 5 times a week, 6 times a week. And as a beginner, this is absolutely pointless. There's no point doing it because firstly, like as I said, the mindset before is difficult to attain. The consistency is one of them things that takes time to build, and discipline is a skill in itself. So you need to set realistic goals for yourself, and maybe understand that like you might miss a session here and there, and you might miss one training session, you might miss some exercises out, whatever it is, right? And my reasoning behind training full body is if you're missing a session doing push pull legs, you have only hit that muscle group once. So say if you miss like a push session, so you do the first push pull legs, which is chest. Let's talk about push. So let's say you miss one push session a week, which is chest, triceps, and shoulders, I think it is. Yeah, delts. Yeah, so let's say if you only do one of them sessions a week, you've only hit them 3 muscle groups once. Whereas if you do a full body workout every like 3 times a week, let's say if you just miss one gym session, you've now hit the chest, triceps, and shoulders twice in that week. So the volume of you hitting the muscles is going to be increased. So therefore, like, if you look at it like scientifically and from like a holistic point of view, you're going to be hitting each muscle group with more volume. You're going to be hitting them more frequently. This is going to allow you to tear the muscles down and rebuild them more and more. So you actually just giving yourself more frequency, which is going to be really beneficial. And I think people underestimate how hard it is to actually build up a consistent routine in the gym. So don't think that you're special, that you're just going to turn up to the gym 6 times a week, because there's going to be times when you don't. So like full body workouts can be really beneficial for that. Also, another reason why I think full body is like better than some of the splits is because of the rest time that you get in between each exercise, or not exercise, between each workout. So let's think of like a push-pull leg splits, for example. I'm going to be comparing PPL to full body quite often in this video. So let's think of like push-pull legs. You're training 6 days a week. So you're never giving yourself a full day's worth of rest other on the Sunday. And then you go again and you're training another 6 days worth of exercise. But this becomes a problem because we are not anabolically set up to deal with this amount of volume. So if you look at the bodybuilders in the 1930s, 40s, before the implementation of anabolic steroids in like the gym scenario, people were training full body splits because the body requires for you to have rest days. It requires rest to rebuild the muscles. They say on average it takes up to 48 hours to 72 hours for your muscles to fully like rebuild from them being teared from like the exercises in the gym. So if you're training push-pull legs, you're not giving yourself the time to fully rest. You're not giving yourself the time to have that full day off just to recover, because you're hitting push one day and then you're training pull. But as you're training pull, you're still using the antagonist muscles of the push day to utilize, to like pull the muscle down, to pull the weight down. So you're never giving yourself or your body or yourself full time to rest and recover. And also with full body workouts, it sends signals to your central nervous system to grow holistically. So what you're going to find is you're going to be doing these heavy compound movements, doing a full body split, and your central nervous system is going to be getting signals to grow your legs, to grow your arms, to grow your chest, to grow your abs, whatever, like every muscle group is going to be stimulated. Therefore, it's going to give your body the best chance of building holistically, because you're getting so many signals from each different muscle group to grow that you're going to be increasing the amount of stimulus that's going on around your body. There's signals from your central nervous system, and also it's going to be sending more testosterone, a human growth hormone, through your body to promote more growth. So yeah, full bodies are amazing. Full body workouts are amazing. And that's not to say that like push-pull legs or upper lower splits or like even bro splits don't have their use, but I think you should really utilize the power of full body splits. And like that's how we trained from an evolutionary point of view. Like we never used to go into the gym and lift weights, but what we'd be doing is we'd be moving around all day, like doing stuff with our whole body. So that is the way our body has been trained to work. To build muscle, it's been holistic from your legs to the top of your head. Every muscle group works together. It's all in control. It's all in it's all in like a systematic oneness. So you should train it all together. That for me is the best way to train. And I've definitely seen the best results when I start training full body splits, because I was training push pull legs for a while and I was training upper lower, but just the pure frequency of training each muscle group 3 times a week and the rest that is recovered is, you just don't beat it for me. It's personally the best split, and it's really under talked about. But if you go and listen to a podcast called Mind Pump, who are going to give you a lot better and more sound advice than I am, they're going to tell you exactly the same, how like full body splits are probably the best way for you to go. Obviously, that's not to say push-pull legs don't have their use, but yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions on how you should train. So train full bodies. Right, so you've got this idea that you're going to train a full body split, right? That's fine. What exercises are you going to do? And how are you going to structure this full body split? So what I would recommend you doing is, I'm not going to give you an exact workout plan. If you want one, you can message me on rather Instagram or YouTube and I can send you one over. But for you to formulate your full body split, what I want you to do is focus on heavy compound movements. So your compound movements are, if you don't know what they are, they're movements that incorporate different muscle group, loads of different muscle groups, sorry. So say bench press, for example. Bench press, you're lifting the weight up through your chest, like most of it's staying contracted on your chest, but other muscle groups are being recruited. So you're also using your delts, you're also using your arms. So you're utilizing more muscle groups. You're recruiting different muscle groups, and compound movements are just movements that don't isolate certain muscles. So like, let's say for example, you want to do a bicep curl. Bicep curl is an isolation exercise, whereas a compound movement is like a bench press, or it's going to be a lat pull down or pull up. All these things, you want to be utilizing exercises that recruit several muscle groups, as this is going to be the best bang for your buck for putting on muscle, and obviously the increase in testosterone and the signals that you're sending to your central nervous system. And also, like, if that one muscle group that you're mainly contracting, let's say like bench press, if that starts to fatigue, you can actually activate a bit more of your delts just to push through the last 3 reps, and you're going to be getting like more bang for your buck. You're going to be getting more frequency. Obviously your chest is still going to be working, but you can kind of like utilize your delts to help you out as well. So yeah, it can be really effective just doing heavy compound movements, and they're going to be biggest bang for your buck. So you want to look at like a lat pull down, you want to look at bench press, we'll look at pull-ups, if you can do pull-ups, dips. You also want to be looking at squats, deadlifts, and all these things that recruit loads of different muscle groups. Utilize them exercises and learn how to do them properly, because that is going to be your best bang for your buck. So you're starting out, right? You know you need to do these compound movements, a full body split. What I want you to do is not worry about the weight you're lifting, and this is a big like problem that people have when they first go into the gym, where they get so obsessed with, oh, I need to be lifting this weight, look at the person next to me, he's lifting all this. And what you end up doing is not performing the exercises properly, and rather injuring yourself, or not activating the correct muscle groups, or just not having the correct time under tension and not being controlled of it. It's all about your mind-muscle connection. So what I want you to do is forget about the weight and just practice a form. Really, really get down to the nitty gritty of how can I feel the certain muscles and push them up correctly and contract them and squeeze them at the right time. Like, what is going to be your best way of doing that? And if you can do this and you can really just keep practicing and getting the form right, this is going to allow you to then start going up in weights easier, because you're not going to be confined by poor form. And honestly, good form allows you to lift weights easier. It's a must. It's a necessary, because you don't want to injure yourself. You don't want to give yourself poor form, because it's going to lead to less gains. So it is actually in your best interest to practice form, because this is going to be the best way to make gains and negate injury. So after that, once you've got the form right and you've been into the gym, you've been practicing your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press, and you feel a bit more confident, now you want to start utilizing progressive overload. And without progressive overload, you're not going to make gains, because for those that don't know, progressive overload it's going into the gym and training your muscle group harder than what you trained it last time. So, and going heavier than what you went last time, or just manipulating in a way that's more difficult than what you last did. So let's say if you did a bench press, for example, and you're lifting 40 kg and you're doing that for 10 reps. Next time you go into the gym, and let's say you did that for 3 sets, right? So you did 3 sets of 40 kg, about 10 reps. Let's say next time you go into the gym, you want to get to 12 reps of 3 sets at 40 kg. And there you've progressive overload. You've managed to do more than what you did last time. And that more, the more weight, the more frequency, that's going to promote your muscles to grow, because it's a hard thing putting on muscle. Your body wants to stay in a state of homeostasis. It's like comfortable where it is. So for you to put on muscle, you really need to give it a reason to put on muscle. So you need to be lifting more weights, because as soon as your body sees like, oh shit, like I now need to, my new baseline, I need to lift 40 kg for 12 reps, like I better grow. And then once you've done that, and then you go, right, I'm moving up to 45 kg for 8 reps. It's like, oh, wow, we've got heavier weights now. Now I need to grow again. And you're just promoting their muscle groups to grow. And so progressive overload is massively important. And one big myth with progressive overload is that it always needs to be more weights. This is not true. What you can do for progressive overload is kind of get a bit intricate with it and think, right, I can't go heavier weight, but I can do like supersets. So where like you're in the gym, you're doing a bench press, right? You got to 10 reps with 40 kg. Now drop it down to 30 kg and do another 5 reps, 6 reps, 7 reps. So you just put in the extra load on your muscles, and you can like utilize supersets, drop sets, or you can do slower time under tension. So you do the exercise a lot slower, keep the contractions on your muscle more. And there's different ways you can like utilize progressive overload. It doesn't have to be just lifting more weights. When you start out in the gym, it's really interesting, right? You get a thing called newbie gains. And these newbie gains are massive when you first start. And because like lifting weights is such a new stimulus for you, because you've never done it before, what you're going to find is that you're going to put on muscle really quick. So yeah, make the most of your newbie gains. Train these full body workouts and be really deliberate when you first get into the gym. Like, research as much as possible, like really get into it, because if you can make the most of the first 2 years of newbie gains, you're going to be in a really good position to get like the physique you want later on, because as you've trained for a while, your body gets used to the stimulus and it becomes harder to put on muscle. But at the beginning, it's so new to your body that it just blows up and starts putting on muscle. I don't know the exact science behind it. It'd be really interesting to read into. But yeah, I think just because it's new stimulus. And also you can get like newbie gains even when you've been training for a while by just utilizing different training methods. So like when I train calisthenics, for example, or when I do isometric work, it's different. It's recruiting different muscle fibers, and it's a different sort of stimulus for my muscles. Therefore, I'm getting the kind of newbie gains from that. So if you've been training for a while and you're listening to this and you've been just constantly working in the gym, go into calisthenics, maybe do some body weight stuff, maybe do some isometric holds, some gym rings, even band work, whatever you can do just to give your muscle that little bit of different stimulus is going to really help, and it's going to promote different muscle fibers being recruited. It's going to fire off different motor neurons, and you're going to, in return, make more gains. So you can utilize the theory of newbie gains even when you've been training for a while. The last thing I want to talk about with training, because I'm going to go on to diet and sleep after this, is cardio. And it's a big myth with cardio that it's great for losing weight. Like, to lose weight, you need to do cardio. I kind of want to dispel this myth, and science has actually proved this. The best way to lose weight is to lift weights, is not to do cardio. Because what you're doing when you're doing cardio is you're sending the signals to your body. It's all about signals to your central nervous system and what you want your body to be. And when you do cardio, you want your body to be efficient. And because muscle weighs more than fat, your body's going to lose muscle first before fat, because it wants to be light and aerobic. So if you're doing like mad amounts of cardio to try and lose weight, like, it's not going to be the most optimal way of doing it. The best way is that you're going to do that, because you don't want to lose weight, you want to lose fat. Like, if you're someone who says they want to lose weight, I want to get down to 70 kg, 80 kg. No, you want to lose the body fat that you've got. You'd rather look muscly. So yeah, focus on lifting weights, because this is going to allow you to build muscle. And like, building muscle is like, it's taxing on your body, and it needs calories to do that. So your body's going to start utilizing the calories to start putting on muscle instead of utilizing it to just storing your fat storage. So you've got that energy later on for when you're doing cardio. So that's pretty much all I've got to say with training. I hope I've made that clear for beginners and like what you need to do. Also, never be afraid to ask for help as well. That's another big thing. Like, ask out to people in the gym. I think I mentioned it before, but that's going to be your best way to actually learn proper form and get real life feedback of if you're doing the right things and what other people are doing. Because, like, I know a little bit about the gym, but there's people who've been training a lot longer than me and probably people who know more than me in your gym. So don't be afraid to ask, man. It's really important. But so next, I want to go into diet, and this is a massive part that people just choose to ignore, rather out of the inability to sacrifice, or just because they don't want to learn about it. And there's so much conflicting information out there that is actually quite confusing. So there's a few reasons why people ignore the diet, but I'm going to try and make it a very like cohesive, clear, and effective way for you to like follow. So the basics of diet is calories in, calories out. Like, I'm not going to go into the science of like carbohydrates and fats and better ways to train your metabolism to burn fat. That's too complicated for beginners. You don't need to know that. All you need to know at this stage is calories in and calories out. So you've rather got three methods, like three ways of dieting that you can choose. So you've rather got bulking, maintaining, or cutting. So bulking is going to be when you're in a calorie surplus. That means you're eating more than what your body is burning, and that's going to allow you to put on weight. And if you want to build muscle, you're going to really want to be bulking, because that's going to allow you to put on muscle more efficiently, because your body has the excessive calories to use. And as I said before, like, putting on muscle is very taxing on the body. So if it's got excessive calories, it's going to utilize them calories to put on muscle. So like bulking for people who are skinny is going to be like the best way to do it. You've got maintaining, which is eating roughly the same amount of calories that you're burning. And this is actually really good for newbies who are like kind of like skinny fat. I think a lot of the advice out there for people who are skinny fat is just bulk up and keep getting fat. I think if you're starting off, maybe like a maintenance amount of calories, which you'd be surprised how much your maintenance is going to be your best shout, because you can also utilize the new stimulus that's coming from the training and just hitting your maintenance calories to put on muscle. And at the same time, like, there's not often that you can burn fat and put on muscle, but when you're first starting to train, it's going to be the stimulus of training is going to be so novel that you're going to be able to do both. So maybe hitting maintenance is going to be your best shout, but like, maintenance is for when you want to just maintain your current weight. Cutting is the opposite end of bulking, is being in a calorie deficit. And this is going to be when you actually want to shred body fat and rather reveal the muscle you've got, or if you want to lose a load of body fat just because you're overweight, whatever, or you've got a bit of extra body fat, whatever it is, right? So cutting is being in a calorie deficit. So how do you work this out? So how do you work out what I need to bulk on, what I need to cut on, what is maintenance for me? There are two ways of doing this, and I think like the most simple way is just going on to Google and typing in BMR, Basic Metabolic Rate Calculator. That is going to be your best way to do it if you don't want to really get into like tracking your calories excessively. And then once you've found out what your BMR is, then rather just add 300 calories up if you want to bulk, or 300 calories less if you want to cut. And obviously your maintenance is going to be your BMR. Another way you can do this is just track your calories for 2 weeks without changing them, and track your weight alongside it. And what you're going to see is you're if you're gaining weight or if you're losing weight. And by then you can kind of like get a gist of where you want to go next with your calories. So say if your goal is to bulk up, say if you're really skinny and you track your calories and you see you're just staying at the same weight, then you know, right, I can up my calories from my average amount of calories consumed in the last 2 weeks. So then you could say if you've averaged out 2,300 calories every day for the last 2 weeks on average, obviously, then you can look to think, right, I'm going to up my calories by 200, 300, 400 and see where I go from there. With cutting, for example, you could just track your calories for the 2 weeks, see where you go from there, and then just utilize it. Just see how your weight is progressing with your calories, and then you can see what you need to do, if you need to cut your calories, if you need to bulk. So rather use the BMR calculator, or just do it by tracking your calories and trying to work out what is your BMR from just seeing how your weight fluctuates. And obviously focus on your body composition as well. Like if you see you're gaining weight and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to gain weight, but it's muscle, then don't complain, because like muscle's good. You don't want to not gain muscle. That's why you go into the gym. So yeah, obviously keep your body composition in mind. It's not all about the scale. And that's another thing that people do wrong, is they focus well too much on the scale. Like, I weigh more than I did last week, but then you're just disregarding the fact that you've put on 0.25 kg of muscle. So why are you complaining about that? So don't focus on the weight as much, but it is a good tool to be utilized. Next is your like macronutrient split, and the only one I want you to focus on here is protein. So in the gym, obviously you're tearing your muscles down all the time. You're working really hard to like break the muscles down and rebuild themselves. So what I want you to focus on is just hitting an adequate amount of protein for you to promote muscle growth in your body. So a good kind of estimate for this is, for every 1 pound of weight you have, you want to eat 1 gram of protein. So you can rather do it in kg as well, but for most people, you want to be eating 120 to 180 grams of protein. That's going to be your most optimal range for you putting on muscle. And I think eating more protein is better than eating less. Like, just get the protein in whatever you can do. Trust me, it's going to be the best way to do it. And also, if you're cutting as well, it's going to be really good to keep your protein high, because if you're training hard and you're cutting and you're not eating enough protein, your body's going to start metabolizing muscle. But if you can keep the protein up, your body's going to have the nutrient that it needs to rebuild that muscle. So you're going to keep on to as much muscle as you can and start losing fat. But also, like, protein, it satiates you as well, so you don't end up binge eating. Like, if you try and eat 200 grams of protein a day, you're not going to find yourself wanting to eat more food, because that is enough food as it is. 200 grams of protein is a lot of food. So yeah, there's another thing you can really utilize, is like, make sure your protein is high. Next thing is like, don't dirty bulk. Like, I see a lot of advice on the internet which says like, just get the calories in whatever you can do. And like, I don't want you to do this, because it's just going to ruin your body and you're going to feel worse for it, and your performance is going to be less in the gym. You want to do a clean, lean bulk. You want to bulk just by 200 to 300 calories and slowly build muscle by eating whole foods, organic whole foods. Like, if you can't afford organic, that's fine, but you want to be eating things really that have no more than 2 ingredients, and not even that. You just want to eat whole foods. Because as soon as you start eating junk foods, all you're doing is you're unbalancing your gut biome, you're spiking up your blood sugar levels, you're going to be like tanking your testosterone, which in return is going to make you less anabolic, so you're going to put on less muscle. So like, clean, lean bulk, that's going to be your best way to do it. And it might be less efficient for like putting on weight and putting on size, but you're going to feel better doing it. Your skin's going to look better. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to feel more energetic in the gym, which is actually going to equate into you over the long term putting on more muscle. So yeah, clean bulk. Don't do that dirty bulk that everyone talks about. It's a load of bollocks. It's people who are just trying to shortcut the process of trying to get in shape. So it's definitely not worth doing. Another thing I see with diet, which like people put well too much importance on, is your eating time periods. So, and I've just worked out, I need to get straight to the kitchen to eat 10 chicken breasts so my muscles don't metabolize. Like, that is a load of bollocks. Like, I think there probably is an optimal eating window just after you've worked out, and optimal times to eat, but I wouldn't put too much focus on it. That's like the 5% of the overall spectrum. You want to focus on like the 95%, which is like your training, your diet, your sleep. But what I would say is, just as soon as you've been to the gym, if you can get home and maybe have a protein shake, or if you can get home and have a high protein meal, that's probably going to be beneficial. It probably will be better than not eating for another couple of hours, but I wouldn't put too much focus on that. I don't think it's going to affect your gains as much as people make it out on the internet. Another thing I like to do is intermittent fast, and this is intermittent fasting. This is especially good for cutting. It can be a bit hard if you're bulking, especially like I was bulking on 3,500 calories, and it gets treacherous after a bit. Like, you're eating so many calories in a time period that is quite short that it can get really hard and it can make you feel a little bit ill. So if you're bulking, maybe don't intermittent fast. It might not be the best option for you, but if you're cutting, it could be a good idea just to like delay breakfast till about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and let your body get into this state where it's burning through the glucose, it's clearing out your body, and it's going to start attacking your body fat. So that's going to be beneficial for you. Maybe use intermittent fasting, and just due to the the nature of intermittent fasting, you're going to be consuming less calories because you're not eating over a longer period. You're eating in a shorter period. So, as I said, if you want to lose weight, if you cut in, intermittent fasting could be a really good tool for you. If I'm looking at good foods to bulk, and like my diet now is completely different to when I was bulking. So, like me now would give you different advice to what I did, but I don't eat carbohydrates anymore, or as much anyway, and it might negate my performance in the gym a little bit, but it makes me feel a lot more mentally clearer and makes me feel more in a place of like homeostasis where my body feels optimized. But carbohydrates can be a really good tool for bulking up, like they're easy calories. So if you are really looking just to like put on muscle and like not do it mega unhealthy with processed foods, but you want to utilize some carbs, I would say oats are a really good food to bulk with. They're like very calorie dense. Avocados are really good, like nuts. Also, you just want to get like protein shakes as well. But if I'm going to bulk now on keto, the foods I'll be eating are lots of nuts. I'll have lots of olive oil, lots of like healthy oils. Struggling to think of some more foods I'll bulk with. I'm not going into the bulk yet, so I've not actually decided what I'm going to do in the keto bulk. But yeah, you can find loads of things on YouTube, online to say like what are good bulking foods. But just be careful of consuming too many carbohydrates because it can make you feel a bit rusty and it can cause a lot of health problems, which I'm going to discuss in another podcast, not for this one. So that's diet. I hope all that helps. I think I give you pretty much everything I know on diet and how to get into shape and the basics of building a good body. I think that was pretty much everything you need. Diet is a very hard thing because there's so many conflicting information out there and there's not really any cohesive guides. So if this podcast hasn't cleared it up for you, just send me a message and I'll be more than happy to help. And like coming down the line, the Backpacking Psychonaut's going to have workout programs. It's going to have informational guides about nutrition. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be trying to educate people more on what I know and how I managed to get into shape. And like diet's been a massive bit. I also used to suffer with a lot of eczema and a lot of like skin problems, gut problems, and I cured all this through diet. And the westernized world thinks that you need to take tablets, you need to take pills. That is not the case. Like you can cure most of your health problems through diet, but that's going off track. What we're going to talk about next, and this is the last thing about from the podcast of how to get in shape, is sleep. And this is probably the most underrated tool. Well, it's not really a tool, it's a necessity. Like you have to sleep. Look at everything in nature. Everything that is an organism sleeps. So it is an essential. So this myth we have about like, I'll sleep when I'm dead is just a load of bullshit. Ignore that. Don't think that you can miss out on sleep because it is vitally important. And how does this affect you getting in shape? Well, sleep is when your muscles recover. So you've worked out in the morning, you've worked out really hard, and then when you sleep at night, your body goes through this process of rebuilding the muscles. It's the muscles that have been teared down from the workouts, they're going to start getting rebuilt and fixed from your sleep. So if you're having suboptimal sleep, then your body's not going to be repairing to the capability that it could do. So like all of your growth comes when you're resting, when you're sleeping. So make sure you prioritize your sleep. Also, there's tons of other health benefits that come with sleep that don't actually relate to getting into shape. Well, do relate to getting into shape, but I'm not going to go into them today. But one I do want to tell you is testosterone. So this is crazy. People who sleep 6 hours a night or less have testosterone that is someone 10 years their senior. And this is absolute massive because we are in a current crisis of men who have low testosterone. And because sleep affects this so massively, you have probably got less testosterone than what your grandparents had, than what their grandparents had. And now you add bad sleep onto that, your testosterone is going to tank. And testosterone is literally what makes your body anabolic. It's what gives your muscles the energy to rebuild and get stronger. And like if you've got lower testosterone, you're going to feel less confident, you're not going to put on as much muscle, and it's going to be a really struggle to get through the gym. So, and also testosterone is like that manly thing, that's like the manly hormone that makes you want to do things. So the idea of going to the gym is not as hard when you've got high testosterone. And in times of my life when I've really have optimized my sleep and I've really like being considerate about optimizing my testosterone, I feel like I want to fucking run through a wall. Like you feel absolutely amazing. So testosterone is literally the be all and end all. It's so important. And if sleep affects testosterone that much, I think it's vitally important that you should sort out your sleep. Right, so let's get on to how you can get good sleep, because there's loads of conflicting advice, and like sleep's really difficult to get these days because we're in such a different environment than what we evolved to be in, that we've got different stimulus coming in from our external environment, that it's we're not getting the right like stimuluses to like, actually promote good sleep. So what can you do to actually sort your sleep out or start getting better sleep? An easy one to do, and like something that I learned recently, is get sunlight exposure as soon as you awaken. So like as soon as you wake, go outside and look up into the sky. You don't have to like stare straight at the sun, but you want to like stare up into the sky and let the retinas in your eyes kind of interpret the sunlight. And what this is going to do is it's going to set off your biological clock to start producing the chemicals in your brain that make you feel awake, but then also make you feel tired later on. So you're going to get an increase in cortisol as soon as you look up in the sun, and that is natural and that's healthy in the morning because it's like the stress hormone, but a certain amount of stress is healthy in that sort of environment. So you're going to feel more awake, and then when it's your biological clock has been set off by then, so when it comes to nighttime, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you're going to have a natural production in melatonin, which is going to make you more tired. So that's going to be the first way you can really look into optimizing your sleep, and not just that, but your energy levels through the day as well. Like getting sunlight exposure is vital. It's so important. And like we've evolved with the sun. Everything is just a son of the sun, if that makes sense. It's literally just been breeded from the sun. We all live off the energy of that. So to think that now we live in these little boxes that never get outside and we're never in touch with the sun, it's ridiculous. Like wake up in the morning and the first thing you should be doing is getting outside and getting that sunlight exposure. Next thing you want to do is with caffeine, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. So when you first awaken, you have your adenosine system is working. And what this does is it produces adrenaline and gives you cortisol, as I said before, and this makes you feel wide awake. But when you have caffeine, the first thing you wake up, it doesn't do anything because your adrenal system is the one being used. After about an hour and a half, after your adrenal system has been used and you've like come to a awakened state, what happens is then your adenosine system kicks in, and the adenosine is kind of like your sleep pressure. So your sleep pressure starts to build up after the first hour and a half of a day. And then what happens is if you have caffeine earlier on, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make you feel more alert. It's just a habit. But if you can wait to have caffeine after the first hour and a half, what this is going to do is it's going to work on the adenosine system. And as I said before, adenosine is the sleep pressure. So it's going to suppress the part of your brain that understands the sleep pressure, and you're going to feel more awake and more alert. And then if you can just keep caffeine till about 12 o'clock and then stop it then, this is going to allow you to like not stop your adenosine from sending signals to your brain to like produce the chemicals at sleep. So you're going to actually, after a while, the caffeine's going to work its way through your body, through your brain, and then you're going to eventually start feeling more tired because your adenosine pressure is going to go up and you're going to feel more tired. I'm not sure if this is making any sense. Like the science is, I'm not too sure on the science, but I think you're getting the gist of it. So have caffeine after an hour and a half of awakening just to feel more energized in the day, but don't do it any later than 12 o'clock because then you're going to be suppressing the adenosine levels and your brain's not going to realize what sleep pressure is building up. Next thing you can do is like blue lights. So as it gets to around about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 2 hours before you want to go to bed, stop staring at like the screens of your phone, your laptop, the TV, because all this blue light is stimulating your brain to produce cortisol, which is going to make you feel more wide awake. So what you want to do is as you get to the evening, you want to simmer down a little bit, maybe turn the lights off in your house. If you can, light some candles, whatever you can do to make it as kind of like dim and calm as possible, because obviously the production like lights are blue lights and they're going to keep stimulating your brain. So you want your environment to be kind of like dim and quiet and calm, and that's going to help your brain like understand that it's nighttime and it's going to start producing the right chemicals, the melatonin, to help you fall asleep. And the last one I like to do, which I mention in every podcast, and I will continue to mention in every podcast as long as I'm making podcasts, is meditation. Like, you've gone through this whole day with all these thoughts arising, all these problems you've had, and you've been kind of stuck in this perpetual state of thought and stress and worrying about things. And when you've done this, you not give yourself time to like calm down and digest what's happened in the day. So what I like to do is, even if it's just 10 minutes of meditation in the evening, but often I do 30, is just meditate in the evening, just like observe all these thoughts are coming up, all your interpretations of all the experiences you've had of the day. You can just watch them arise, and then you can watch them wither away. And when you're doing this, I kind of liken it to just like cleaning your desktop onto a hard drive. So all this information that's like floating around in your brain, you can just wipe it off into somewhere else, and it can be dealt with and it can be gone. And that leads you to just have a clearer state of mind. It's going to be easier to fall asleep. You're not going to be thinking about what's happened in the day as soon as your head hits the pillow, and then you're constantly like stressing about you can't sleep, and then you're going to feel worse because you can't sleep, and you get stuck in this like thought loop of sleep anxiety. That's not going to happen if you just spend time and just meditate and digest what's happened. So yeah, meditation's another big one. And yeah, just like meditate 10-20 minutes before you go to bed, let yourself digest, and yeah, it's really helpful, and it does definitely help me fall asleep. Other than that, people, that is, I think, pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I had some notes for it down this time, which has been super helpful. It's given me a lot more clarity and direction, because normally I just kind of free flow the podcast and then end up tripping up your words, I'm in an hour in, and not having a kind of structure to it. But yeah, I think this has been super helpful, writing some notes down. For the Backpacking Psychonaut, as I mentioned before, like we're going to start leveling up, because I've got a microphone and I've got a MacBook which I can host other guests on. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where we go with this. And any advice from people, or anything people want me to talk about, or yeah, whatever you think would be helpful for me or you to talk about in the podcast, let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for listening, people, and I'll see you all in the next episode.